Welcome to Grit, the Real Estate Growth Mindset podcast, hosted by Brian Charlesworth, founder of Sisu. Sisu provides growth automation software for real estate. You'll hear stories from real estate thought and technology leaders, team owners, and brokers on how they grew their business in a rapidly changing industry. You'll learn how to transform your brokerage and teams into a high-performing and analytics-driven business so you have a new, durable, competitive advantage against disruption in your market. So let's get right into it.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of the Grit Podcast. I'm here with Jim Amon today. You all know that I'm Brian Charlesworth, and I'm the founder of Sisu. And super excited to spend some time with Jim today. I've known Jim for, a long time. He's been a Sisu customer for probably 7 years, I would guess, somewhere in that neighborhood. Jim does all kinds of social posts about our company, and we love that he does that. From our client portal to a bunch of other stuff. I think you have a great wall of Sisu in your office now, like Spring too, Jim. But
yeah, we've got four TVs, four big.
Yeah, exactly. I saw that the other day, so I love seeing that. But anyway, Jim he runs the Amon team. He's from Sacramento, California. And I'm excited to spend some time with Jim today. So how's it going, Jim? Welcome to the show.
It's going great. Sunny California out here.
Is it? Well, that's good because, I just saw a dust storm move through a monsoon through Arizona that hit our house, took down a bunch of trees. I heard the winds were 100 miles per hour.
Oh, that's no fun. I'm glad you're in Utah today, not Arizona.
That was about 3 days ago, and thankfully I was not there. But California seems to be sunny for the most part. Well, I'd love to kind of just start by letting the audience know a little bit of your background, Jim. So maybe you could share just kind of how you got into real estate and maybe give us a little evolution of how you got from starting in real estate to where you are today as a team owner with 41 agents. And we'll go from there.
Sounds good. So I spent the first decade of my career as a director of marketing, and then I pivoted into real estate as an appraiser. I did that in 2004. I was an appraiser for 4 years, did approximately 4,000 appraisals. And then I thought for some reason in 2008 would be a fantastic time to dive into opening a real estate brokerage, even though, that was the greatest housing crisis of my lifetime. But honestly, the appraisal industry shifted due to the housing crisis. We went from having relationships with loan officers where they would refer us business and we were making $500 in appraisal to all of a sudden we had to partner with appraisal management companies, and they were only paying us at that time $150 in appraisal. So the math didn't add up. So we pivoted, opened up Amon Real Estate as an independent brokerage at that time. And then we dove in, that was in '08, did that really for about 8 years as a fully independent brokerage. And then in 2024, we decided to do a private label partnership with a global brand. And in the meantime, kind of from 2020 to now, we started pivoting more into a team format versus a brokerage format. And a lot's really shifted and changed going from an independent brokerage to a team to then partnering with a global brand.
Cool. I want to talk about going from a brokerage to a team here in a minute. But first, guess what I was doing in 2008 during that crisis of the real estate market? Guess what I had just done?
I think you probably just started going into real estate with Spring is my guess.
No, actually, I didn't even know Spring back then. We've now been married for 11 years. But at that time, I actually had just bought the franchise, not a franchise, but the franchisor. So all 230 locations at the time of Housemaster Home Inspections.
Oh, wow.
And same thing. Where does a home inspection business get all of its leads from?
Realtors.
And what do we need for us to do a lot of home inspections? We need a lot of home sales. So it was a very, very difficult time to get into the home inspection business. Probably the worst time ever to buy a home inspection company. But thankfully we were able to pivot, and we actually developed a software company called GF Easy that did good faith estimates for the large lenders back then, which actually saved the company. So thankfully we were able to get that done. But I understand the pain because we had just bought that company and then the market crashed, and it was like went from all of our franchisees doing amazing to all of them struggling, So,
Yeah, it was a really tough time. It felt like the world was blowing up around us. I mean, every time you'd get a deal on contract, the bank that was doing the deal would go out of business.
yeah.
So there's a lot of moving parts, but at the same time, I entered being a real estate broker during a really difficult time, which made me a far better broker, a far better
Yep.
realtor, right? Had I come in during an easy time, right now I'd really be struggling. But because I came in during a really difficult time, this current market is just really no big deal in comparison.
So you know how to get through the challenging markets. I love that. So let's talk about that for a minute. Because I've watched a lot of people come into this industry in 2001, 2021, 2022, when things were just off the charts. I always say the fish were just jumping out of the water into the boats. That was basically what was going on. Everyone needed a house and they were willing to sign and put it under contract the next day, right?
Yeah, it was easy, right? Easy peasy.
And it was a frenzy, right? You had multiple offers on every home, so it was all about getting the highest offer, and everyone was willing to put in the highest offer because they wanted to get the houses. So, how have we gone from that to where we're at today, Jim? And how's that affected your business and other businesses? And I'm going to ask one more question as well, which is, what do you need to do? How do you show up differently in a market like today versus a market like that?
Yeah, I think everybody's different, right? So if you pull the RCZ numbers, you're going to actually see our sales are higher this year than they were last year, and they were higher last year than the year before.
So in 2000, you're saying if I pull up your Sisu dashboards or your snapshot page and see the year over year numbers, you're saying 2024 was greater than 2023.
Yep, and 2025 will be greater than 2024. And the reason is we teach our team members how to actually fish, right? So they can actually feed themselves. And I feel like so many brokerages, especially agents that are not on a team, that are solo agents, aren't getting the training that they need. They're not educating themselves to the level that they need to provide actual value. And we've now moved into a skills-based market.
Yep.
71% of agents sold zero houses last year, right?
Yep. Isn't that insane?
It's crazy. But those who actually know how to do real estate, who actually provide value, who are more of a financial planner or a consultant to their clients, right? They're taking market share. Their sales are actually going up. And that's what we're doing on our team is making sure that we give those agents when they come on our team those basic foundational skills.
So you've taught your agents how to have the skill set to go up. It sounds like your agents are willing to prospect and make phone calls. Is that right?
Yes.
What are your expectations of your agents, and what is your average agent doing as far as homes per year?
Sure. So our expectations are we try to make them simple, not too complicated, right? So we expect them to have at least $500 a week, a minimum of 25 2-minute quality conversations a week. We expect them to enter everything that they do into Follow Up Boss and into Sisu. And we expect them to attend their 1 hour of training each day, and we expect them to do a one-on-one with me each week. If they do those basic things, they can stay on the team, and we're going to provide them with leads.
Okay, cool. What is the average agent in your business doing as far as homes per year?
Generally, the range is going to be between 12 sales a year and 60 sales a year. So our top agent, she's doing 60 sales a year, and she's literally had her license 36 months.
Well, that's great. Okay, cool. So again, you're doing 12 to 60. Your average agent out there, even in the good market, was doing 4. Now your average agent is actually not doing any, which is why 70% of agents didn't sell any homes last year, right?
Right, and probably why half of them are going to be gone in the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. This is what excites me about this market right now. What you just said. In NAR, National Association of Realtors, I watched it go from 1.6 million down to about 1 million members.
I think that's great, honestly. We had too many people in this industry that don't actually provide any value, and they need to go bye-bye.
Right. And so many of them have gone bye-bye, and that's my point here. So when the interest rates drop and the buyers get off the sidelines, I think it's going to be one of the biggest opportunities for existing realtors, existing people in the business that they've ever seen, even greater, in my opinion, than 21 and 22. How do you feel about that?
I've been saying and telling our agents all year, right? 2025 is about taking market share, putting in the work to take market share, to set yourself up for whether it's 2026 or whether it's 2027 when the market shifts again. If we take the market share now, if we put in the work now and build our foundation and our pipelines now, when the market shifts, we're going to literally kill it. You're literally going to create wealth for your families. But you
Yeah.
have to be willing to put the work in now to create that pipeline, to create that foundation. And the way you do that, right? Whether it's farming, whether it's making dials, whether it's taking portal companies referrals and closing them and making them past clients. You build that pipeline, you put those clients in Sisu, right? You keep track of them, you have those customer appreciation events, and you keep taking market share, and you're really gonna go from, let's say you're doing 12 deals a year, you're going to be able to go to 24 or 36 deals a year literally overnight, but
Yeah.
only if you do it now. If you wait until the market shifts, the people like me, people like my team members will have already taken market share, and you're going to be way behind the curve.
Yeah, totally agree. So you said something that I found interesting. You said anyone that's taking market share today is going to build wealth when the market turns. And so I wanted to ask, seems like to me, as I've watched this industry over the last decade, most people in real estate that get some extra money, I'll call that wealth, right? Having free cash flow going around, they want to buy houses. And I think that's a good thing. I mean, they know how to buy houses, right? Anyone in real estate knows how to buy houses, probably knows how to fix them up, might know how to flip them, probably not, but they'll get into it. Might know how to rent them. But what I've been trying to do, and some of this with Springs agents, is get them not only to do that, but to invest at least $1,000 a month, and if they can, $3,000 a month into things like the S&P 500, where they can have that going on as well. Do you guys teach your agents that kind of stuff as well? And I'm just talking about this because you were talking about building wealth, and I think it's so important. It's the one thing that schools don't teach is how to build wealth, even though it's the most important thing that we know. And most families don't teach it if they haven't done it, right?
Right. So for starters, I think you have to have a money management system, right? You should have different accounts with different earmark for different things.
Absolutely. That's first step, right? Someone
That's,
comes
that's
in,
step
they
one, right?
have to have an account set aside for taxes, have to have one set aside for their investing in themselves, and one, of course, to pay their bills and whatnot, right?
Right. And then you need to have an actual budget, and that budget needs to be actually updated every single month. Uh,
Yeah.
After that, I personally believe that it's very hard for realtors to build generational wealth. There's only so many doors you can open. There's only so many houses that you can sell. So if you want to succeed, you use real estate sales to cover your bills, to start to put money in your bank account, to now creating a way where you have cash to invest, right? And then you want to have multiple streams of income. Yes, a realtor usually is going to go buy a rental property. I wouldn't ever buy a single family home as a rental property. I don't think that adds up. Maybe you start with a fourplex, but ideally you could get to apartment complexes if you want to keep your money in real estate. But then you should have simple things. I talk to my agents about at a minimum, at a bare bones minimum, every single agent can have a 401k. We go through a company called Guideline for an independent agent. It's like $30 a month to have a 401k account. You could just put in $1,000 a month into that, and you're going to be a millionaire when you retire. Investing in things like Bitcoin or crypto, I think you better learn how to do that. The S&P 500 is obviously vitally important. Having other ways to make money, like flipping homes, whether that be single family homes, whether that be taking an apartment complex and adding things like washers and dryers and updating it and increasing the rent, then flipping it,
Yeah.
or whether that be starting with something simple like a mobile home where you invest 5 or 10 grand to buy that home and then you flip it from there. You need to have more than one way to make money, and you need to start as soon as humanly possible. And every realtor should be able to do this.
Yeah, totally agree. And what you just spoke to, I think, is speaking to realtors. What you didn't speak to, I think, is more speaking to team owners and maybe some realtors as well, which is I know you have a mortgage company. I know we're very into mortgage at Sisu. We now have a company called Simply Mortgage where we help people like you start their own mortgage company, do mortgage JVs. It's a very important stream of income. Title companies, another one. Rev share, another one. So there's all this stuff going on where real estate professionals have an opportunity to have multiple streams of income. And I think some people just get stuck and don't think outside of that box. Jim, how did you go from thinking like this, I'm going to be in real estate, to this, I'm going to be in real estate? Because they're two different games, right? And if you didn't see that, having your blinders on, if you're just listening, and then opening up and seeing the peripheral of all the opportunities to have additional streams of income if you're in real estate.
So there are a couple things. One, I learned from when I transitioned from being an appraiser to a broker when the market crashed, that you have to be willing to pivot. Two, when I tried to go from an independent brokerage to building a real estate team, I went through and lost over $1 million trying to do that by just having agents and just selling houses. I learned from that I couldn't do it on my own. I needed to put myself in rooms with people who had done it before me, with people who were smarter than me, with people who had different experiences than me. So I started getting on a plane every month, going to a new conference and just meeting people. In fact, that's how I met you. I went to a conference because a friend of mine, Zach Muir, who you obviously know, invited me to come to a conference in Farmington, Utah, of all places. And I went and I met, and Zach introduced me to you. And then you actually introduced me to Spring B. And Spring introduced me to Justin Nelson, right? And I ended up in Spring's world and her inner circle. And I was fortunate enough to have Justin really, take me under his shoulder and mentor and coach me for 4 years on how to be a better team leader. I also got into other rooms with other coaches and at other conferences. And from there, I learned, one, that I didn't know how to manage money. And I was bleeding money because I didn't know what the hell I was doing with it. So for starters, I had to get their budget. I had to have my money management accounts. If I had a bank account for one part of my business and that business was losing money, I couldn't just pull money from the other bank account from the other part of the business. I had to close down the part that was bleeding, that wasn't working. And then I had to learn the hard way that I needed to add additional streams of income to make this all work, because the profit margins of running a team just aren't enough to build wealth.
Okay. So let's talk about the transition. You talked about Spring. For those of you who don't know, I think most of you do know, I'm married to Spring. I remember when she sold, left KW, she bought a franchise and started her own brokerage. And I remember that year she basically went from 15 agents on a team to about 30 agents on a team that year, and it was about 100 agents total in the brokerage. And I remember at the end of that year, we looked at it and she had made zero from her brokerage. All of the money she had made was from the team. I think the brokerage actually netted 25 grand that year. And I believe that was paid out to Justin as a bonus for recruiting all those agents. So again, the brokerage model, the traditional brokerage model, is a very difficult thing to make money. So you as Spring at that point identified, hey, all my money is still coming from my team. Why do I have a brokerage? Instead of that, I'm going to go do rev share at one of these rev share companies, right? And not have my brokerage. Best decision she ever made. You've now done the same thing, but I want to talk about your journey from going to a broker to a team, because it sounds like you just said you lost money when you did that. So I was surprised by that, but I want to hear more about that.
If you've been enjoying Grit, please help us continue to grow the channel by leaving a 5-star review and sharing it with a friend. Now back to Grit.
When you're running a brokerage, your overhead's really not that high. Right? You're not providing anything. Hey, here's come join me, pay $100 a month. It's an 80-20 split. I'll be here to show you how to fill out the forms and handle your compliance stuff. Go recruit anybody with a heartbeat, and you're good.
Okay. So that's a very important thing that you just said, Jim, because you said your overhead's not that high. And essentially the way I took that is, as a broker, you brought no value.
Yeah, I mean, other than showing people how to write offers and basic training, you're not really, I don't think any brokerage, any traditional brokerage, honestly, is bringing a whole lot of value these days.
So when you say traditional brokerage, and I know what you mean, but I want you to define that because I
I'm
think a lot of people in this podcast may not know what is a traditional brokerage when you say
going
that.
to define it as a franchise model.
Franchise model. Okay.
And so you go out there, you go to a franchise model, you sign up with them, you pay them $150 a month, then you pay the 5% franchise fee, then you pay the broker split fee, and then you got to pay for desk space and everything else. And what do they provide you for that? Well, a name, and maybe they give you some basic training that you can attend. That's what you get.
Training once a month, maybe.
Yeah. If you're lucky, right? That's all you get, right? And I don't think that's valuable in today's market. In
Yeah.
today's market, teams are really, in my opinion, if you go back when real estate first started, you had that small corner brokerage, right? 10 to 40 person office, and the splits were 50-50, and the brokerage was providing everything, signs and business cards, and they were doing the marketing and they were providing leads. Well, that all went away as the splits got larger to the agents, and then the brokerages just stopped providing anything. Well, now you have mega teams or teams in general filling that traditional role that brokers used to fill. And I think that's way more valuable, but it's also more expensive because now, we have 9 pieces of technology that we pay for each month. We pay for the agent's office space. We do pay for all their marketing. We have all the lead sources that we're covering, right?
What about the salaries of your team? That's probably your biggest expense. How many team members do you have that are admin?
Yeah, our admin, one, two, we have about 6 or 7 different people in our operations department that we have to pay whether we sell anything or not, right? So we start in the negative each month before we start
Yeah.
selling anything. So the overhead running a mega team is significantly higher than running a independent brokerage.
But you bring more value to the agents. And in my opinion, it's impossible for an agent to get into real estate today and not go to a team and be successful. It's nearly impossible. I don't know, like, how would a new person brand new to the industry not be on a team that teaches them, that manages, that gives them leads, that gives them software, that, all that stuff, and that manages the transaction from contract to close? Because, like, what's the last thing a salesperson is going to be able to step into this industry and do today and be effective? How do you feel about that?
I mean, just look at the math. If per NAR, the success rate of new agents is 13%. That's because most agents start off as a solo agent. Where if you go to a team, and it varies by team and the data is not as clear, I would say the success rate on a team is about 50%.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but hey, we can give them the systems, we can provide them the tools, we can actually make them work.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Somebody has to be hungry to win.
Right.
But, yeah.
Right. So if you join a team, you get all the tools that you need, right? And think about it like this. I like to think about it like, if I'm going to use a grocery store example because my family is in the grocery industry. A solo agent is like going to buy a 7-Eleven, and the owner gives you a few days of training, and then they hand you the keys and they say good luck. And you're writing a check for the building. You're writing a check for the marketing, and you're paying for the inventory. You're the janitor. You're the cashier. You're stocking the shelves, right? And you've never done this before, but hey, it's cool because other than paying the 7-Eleven their franchise fee, you get to keep all the profits. But here's the reality. You're not going to have any profits because you've never done this before, so you're stuck with all the losses. Or if you simply went to that 7-Eleven, think of it more as a team, and you partnered with the owner of the 7-Eleven, and that owner kept paying for everything for the first few years, and
Yeah.
all you had to do is share the profits. Now you're actually making money, and you're learning from someone who actually knows how to run a 7-Eleven. That's the difference.
So I want to talk to you about running a 7-Eleven, or I want to talk to you about running a real estate team. You gave a presentation once in Mexico at one of Spring's, I guess it was her inner circle event.
Yeah.
And you talked about how you were leveraging the client portal to get more money on your listings. Are you still doing that?
We do, and here's how I do it.
Yeah, can you share that with everybody? I think that's a really valuable thing.
I started another entity called Sacramento Document Services, which is essentially a TC company, and we charge $795 per file. And the way we explain it to our clients is, look, this fee is for our Sisu client portal, which is very much like DoorDash, right? You've all used DoorDash. That DoorDash tells you when your food's been ordered. It tells you it's been picked up. It's on the way. Turn the light on, right? So that for the driver, and then it gives you a picture of the food being delivered. The client portal does the same thing. Every single time a document is put into the portal, the client is notified on their app. They get to watch this transaction happen every step of the way. And more importantly, the agent is going to work with you. They're going to schedule a weekly Zoom with you every single week to go through your client portal so you can see where everything's at. And all these documents are going to be stored for life. Additionally, we're going to have a professional licensed transaction coordinator who's going to dot the I's, cross the T's, and make sure that these 600 pages are all compliant for you. That's how we sell.
And now, by the way, Jim, one more thing, and that's such a great presentation. Thank you for sharing. Now they can actually sign their documents in the client portal too.
Yeah, and now they can sign the documents there too. And I want to explain why this is super powerful. I told you that I lost over $1 million trying to make a team profitable. The operations team that you just brought up to me, my 5 to 7 folks in operations, that was all money I was losing. Now, because of this one thing, because using the Sisu client portal allowed me to charge the $795 fee, now my entire operations department is covered because I can charge that $795 by using the Sisu client portal.
How many transactions did you do in the last 12 months?
Just under 200.
Okay, so what is 200 times 795? That's 159,000. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
So $160,000 that was coming out of my real estate sales that now isn't. And you know what? Do you know how many clients have ever pushed back when I explained this fee for the Sisu client portal?
How many?
Zero. And even my new agents who've never done this before don't get any pushback. Clients absolutely love it.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for sharing that. And here's what I take from that as the CEO of Sisu. You mean to tell me it was worth paying Sisu $500 a month to bring in another $160,000 last year?
100%.
That's really cool, Jim. One of the things you talked about was that 795. You started a new business. That's a rev stream for you. Can you share with us how many revenue streams or how many streams of income you have coming in as a real estate business owner today, just so that people can start to grasp what are my options out there?
Sure. We have about 7 different income streams, and they've developed organically. It's not like I started 7 different businesses at once.
Yeah.
One I'll share with you is that I really love is I created a company called Park Home Revivals. I really wanted to get into flipping homes, but I just didn't have the resources or frankly the stomach to go and buy a house for 400 grand, add another 100 grand in rehab, hoping to make 10 to 15%. It just didn't make sense to me. But I could go out and buy a mobile home for between 5,000 and 30,000, put in 20 to 30,000 in remodel, and then make a 40% profit. And I could do that in a 90 day, maybe 6-month window. So all of a sudden for a $50,000 investment, right, I'm able to make a 40% return on investment. So that really got me excited.
So you're actually flipping those after fixing them up? Okay. I know a lot of people that have done the same thing, but they've actually held on to those and rented them. So either way, it's a great model.
It's a great model, and that created my next income stream, right? So I have a mastermind company or infopreneurial company, whatever you want to call it, where I train other people how to do mobile home flips. I train other people how to add additional income streams because they sign up for my mastermind on my school account. So those are a couple of my income streams. And then I have
you have a school account?
Yes, I have a school account.
What's that called?
School.com/SOAR, SOAR.
SOAR. Okay, thank you. You probably know, Jim, we just started a Sisu one with Spring.
Yep, I already signed up.
Are you a part of that? Great.
I already signed up.
If you guys are not a part of that, we just launched that this week. It's free. Come join in. We'd love to have you guys be a part of it.
It's fantastic. And a couple other income streams I just want to touch on, mainly because they're due to you. The very first time I met you, you told me to stop being an independent brokerage and move to a revenue share model. And I'm really, really stubborn. And it took me 3 years to, and many, seeing you at many conferences and having many discussions before.
So you're blaming me for that?
It's my fault. I'm stubborn, not yours.
No, that's great. That's great.
But I finally made that that move. And I know not everybody wants to attract agents, okay? But at a minimum, if you're a team leader and you're just attracting agents just to your team, you're automatically going to get revenue share. And let's say they leave your team in 2 years. They decide, hey, I want to be a solo agent. I want to start my own team, whatever it is. They're going to most likely stay with the brokerage. And now, at least for all that training you gave them, you're still going to get the revenue share. And maybe even more importantly, when you're a team leader, it's about the stock, right? You're going to be able to be getting stock because of every agent you attract to your team. You're going to get stock because of each sale your team member makes. I can tell you in literally 11 months of being with a global brand where I can get stock options, Megan and I already have over $70,000 in stock. And when I ran my independent brokerage, we wouldn't have had any of that. We would have been at would not have saved any of that. And that's only 1 year, and it's not a ton of money, but multiply that out in 10 years. Now I would have what?
Millions.
700,000 in stock plus. Let's say that the stock doubles or triples. Now it's worth millions of dollars.
Exactly.
Just because I took your advice.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that's working out for you. I'd like to add one more thing for that model that I think is important. And I think it's that you can surround yourself with people who maybe have done things you haven't, and they're willing to teach each other, right? It provides a community of agents and leaders helping another instead of you just having your broker that you can go to for help. And your broker probably doesn't know how to build a business anyway. So,
for me, I've been really fortunate. I told you that I started going to a conference every month. So I've been doing that for 4 or 5 years. And I've met the most amazing team leaders. And one of the things I absolutely love about our industry is people are willing to collaborate. If you meet them at a conference and you get to know someone, you share with them and they share with you. And it's really a magical thing because none of us knows everything, right? So exactly. I think it's super important when you are part of these big brokerages, when you're a team leader, wherever you are, whether it's a 5-person team or a 100-person team, that you give back and you give back to other team leaders and you share what you learn.
Yeah, that's great. Just for the sake of time, Jim, it's been great reconnecting with you because it's been too long. I'd love for you to share just like one thing, like with where we are in the market today, with where you think the market's going, what is the most important thing that a team leader should be doing right now to make sure that when rates drop, or even today before rates drop further, what is the key thing that's going to get them to where their business just takes off in the coming year?
The key thing, in my opinion, is having your team members build their pipeline. And that doesn't necessarily mean only working with people that are transactional, right? You've got to build the pipeline up over at least a 2-year window. So for us, what we do is we do a 4-step buyer mastery process. We do a buyer's consult, then some basic educational showings just to see if their finances and price point are in alignment. Then we do a quick lender handoff for a pre-qual, not even a full pre-approval, just to kind of understand their finances. Then we sit down and we do a strategy session. And this is where you can build your pipeline. Most agents, if someone doesn't qualify to buy a house in the next 90 days, they move on. We don't. If they do qualify, great. We're going to sit down, have a strategy around how to write a winning offer, how to view homes. But if they don't qualify, maybe they need to pay down $30,000 in credit card debt. We're going to have a strategy session around how are we going to pay off this $30,000. We're going to have a strategy session on how do we save $20,000, whatever the case is. And then we're going to have them sign a representation agreement. They're going to actually literally hire us, even though they're a year out, even though they're 2 years out, right? And then we're going to have a monthly call with them. It might be to create a budget. It might be to verify whether they made that credit card payment or whether they opened that house bank account and put that $500 in there. Now we're building our pipeline for the future. We're not just reinventing it every single year with a third-party lead source. So building your pipeline is the number one way that you can take market share going into the future.
I love that. That's such great advice. You reminded me of one other thing that I want to talk about, and that's Battr, which is the new Sisu product. The company Sisu has the product Battr. It's a different product than Sisu, but it's all around lead conversion. And it's all about setting standards for your agents and being able to make sure you follow up. The same way that Zillow has their flex teams follow up, you can do that on all your lead sources now, which is how you get higher conversion. Is that a product you're using? I don't even know.
Yeah, we use Battr, and let me explain why it's really important to me. I have 108,000 people in our database. Our
Okay.
agents have endless people that they can call. And what I was noticing pre-Battr was they would have like 1,000 people in their pipeline, and I couldn't tell if they were following up on the cadence that I wanted them to. I suspected they were not. So what we ultimately did is we paired three different products together that are super powerful. We paired Follow Up Boss with Battr with Shiloh.ai.
Yep.
And here's what happened, especially since I'm super hyper focused on them building a 2-year pipeline. All of a sudden, literally overnight, leads would go into their Follow Up Boss. We were able to preset the cadence just like Zillow Flex does, right?
Yep.
And then Battr would audit every single morning that cadence. And if they didn't follow the cadence, it sends them a nudge. Hey, this client needs a follow up. If you don't follow up, it's going to be swept away. And then
We're going to take the lead. And what do you do with that lead when you sweep it away?
it gets swept away and assigned to other agents. And here's the powerful part. It's not about me punishing somebody or me taking anything away from an agent. It gives them a tool to hold themselves accountable. And maybe more importantly, it actually lets them see that they're hurting themselves by not following the cadence. And now it gives them the ability to create that 2-year pipeline where before they didn't have that ability. So
Yeah.
by pairing, those three products, it's really been a game changer for our agents creating their own businesses, holding themselves accountable and putting themselves in a position to take market share, regardless of me and my leadership.
Yeah, we're seeing so many amazing results from that. And what I love about it is for a team leader like you, if you have an agent that is not willing to follow up, you can get it in another agent's hands and you can actually still get the transaction sold. And that's what I'm seeing happening. And I love that.
One of the reasons we lost so much money was because we couldn't figure out how to verify if the agents were following up. There's only so many hours a day, right?
Yeah.
And your database is everything, right? And Battr gives me as a sales manager, as a team leader, it gives me the assurance to make sure that our agents are actually following what I'm training on. And if they're not, then it indicates to me I need to do a better job. I need to be a better leader. I need to adjust my one-on-ones. I need to adjust my trainings because they're not getting it. So it's a huge tool and everybody should have it.
Well, I remember when you came to me about 4 or 5 years ago asking me to build something similar to that in Sisu. And I was like, it's a great idea, but it's a separate product. Like Sisu is all about, that first appointment to close and managing that whole process along with goals and activities. But this is different, right? It's all around lead response times, lead follow-ups, lead conversions. And so anyway, I'm glad you're enjoying that, Jim. I'm glad it's having an impact on your business. I'm going to want to go offline with you and talk more about that. So to all of our listeners, thanks again for joining us this week. I'm grateful that I could get Jim on the show. I've known Jim for a long time and it's always fun. I usually see him in Vegas for some reason when I'm walking through hotels.
November, see you in November in Vegas for Unlock.
There you go. I will be there. So I will see you again at Unlock in Vegas, Jim. Thanks for being on the show. To all you listeners, give us a like and make sure and join us next week. We'll see you again next Tuesday. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for joining us on our podcast. If you have an interest in a free 7-day trial of Sisu, go to sisu.co, sisu.co. Make sure that you use the coupon code GRIT, that's GRIT, to waive all your setup fees and receive a 10% discount on your subscription. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast and want to subscribe, search GRIT, the Real Estate Growth Mindset, on iTunes, Spotify, or Podbean. And with that, we'll catch you next time. Take care.